Welcome back. Well, now we're joined by Dr. Lisho Mundia, who is the Deputy Executive Director for Higher Education, Training, Research and Innovation, and the facilitator of the upcoming public lecture titled Etiquette for a Boy Child. It's set to take place on the 11th of June at the Village Opera, or the Village Garden, in Opera House. Now, this initiative, supported by the Ministry of Education and other partners, promises to spark meaningful dialogue on raising responsible, respectful and emotionally intelligent young men. Dr. Mundia brings a wealth of experience in education and youth development, and today we delve deeper into the purpose, the goals and anticipated impact of this timely lecture. Dr. Mundia, good evening, and thank you so much for joining us here on the Daily Roundup.
Good evening, Nina. Thank you, and good evening to the viewers.
Well, to start with, Doctor, what inspired this theme, etiquette for a boy child, for this specific public lecture?
Yeah, thank you so much for having me, Nina. And of course, generally, I would say this topic was identified because of some social etiquette rarely been taught directly at home or in school. And of course, as part of the social responsibility to community, you would know that many boys miss foundation lessons either in schools or at home, as I've said. But notwithstanding the fact that there have been a number of studies, one of such is by Professor Zimba and many others from the University of Namibia in 2023, which is titled Namibia Boys Under Achievement and Under Participation in Education. It's a very interesting read, but very concerning. And so, of course, then the title built from there because of the growing concern impacting boys both in society and academically success. You know that, of course, education is a foundation for knowledge. And, of course, without knowledge, you will have less chances to success. Yes.
Doctor, how do you define etiquette in the context of raising a boy child in today's world? And is it different from, our traditional understanding of the term?
Yeah. Of course, it comes with different understanding from different perspectives. For this public lecture, I refer to it as a social norms and expectation around how to behave in various interactions in society. And of course, those norms providing some sorts of codes of conduct and structures that slightly regulate the expected attitude, behavior, and the members of every society in our community. So that's how I will approach it, and that's what I will understand it as its definition.
In your experience, Doctor, how do societal expectation and gender norms that you briefly touched on just now, how do these influence the way we teach values to boys versus how we teach them to girls?
Very important question. What is important to understand is that biblically a man must be a provider. I think that's what you'd agree with me that even our laws are constructed based on that. So deeply, from my experience, is that the influence of how values are taught to boys and girls, in my view, sometimes often lead to unequal, stereotyped, and sometimes also can be harmful. It depends who's teaching them and where they grow up. That's why they say it takes a community to raise a child. But when well practiced, norms norms and practices can really shape everything from communication styles to emotional expression to how responsible, respectful, and how you can be a leader in your society when it's well modeled into you.
Dr. Lisho, how can schools and as well as educational institutions better, support the development of etiquette as well as emotional intelligence in boys?
A very good question. I wanted to refer to the community, firstly, to just bring about the strong community engagement focus, what that role signifies. I wanted to just highlight why it's always important that a boy child should, or a girl child even, should get as much needed platform like this. You would remember, they say that where we come from is where it's who we are. Where we come from is who we are. That's quite important because child community can also influence. I'm diverting from your question to just make sure that we get to understand why a community is important. Mm-hmm. So a child's community signifies a whole shape of their behavior. And in so doing, it identifies and by providing a social context where they can learn values. As I said, again, social norms and role of expectations. In other words, what I'm trying to say is that it influences their sense of self, their understanding of what is right and wrong in society. In fact, you can even go deeper to now touch to your question to say this also then brings about interaction with others, where the aspect of emotional intelligence can also come to play. So a strong community united can provide a very nurturing environment to a boy child. And of course, it can provide a very much needed access to resources and opportunity for social interaction. In that, it contributes then to their development.
Well, Doctor, just to end our conversation with, what are some of the, practical tools or even lessons that you hope the attendees, especially parents, teachers, and also mentors, might take away from this discussion and this session?
Yeah. What is important for me is to highlight that in our schools, our universities, we have structured syllabi that both a boy child and a girl child is taught, especially the life skills and so forth. But it's very important that for the boy child to start to rethink some sort of gender expectations, biblically, as I've said. So our role as a man, we are charged to take responsibility as heads of the family, and that, of course, what I would really emphasize is that it's very important that these lessons would then encourage or stimulate taking responsibility in that, and in a sense also build a sense of accountability for a boy child, but not shame, just accountability, without, of course, ignoring providing a balanced role model in a boy child. At the same time, some of the tools really or expectations from this lecture would then to help a boy child recognize and express their emotions without having to be ashamed in any situation, but more so to build respect and kindness in them. It's quite important, because if you are not respectful or you do not communicate, these two aspects, you will never go far as a boy. So I think my lecture will build more or focus more within those lines, that at the end of it, that sense of inclusivity and belonging is built in a boy child. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Lisho Mundia, and we wish you all the best with the upcoming lecture. Mundia, who is Deputy Executive Director for Higher